Hey guys, Cody with After 5 Outdoors. Been going to do this video for quite a while, but been too busy ice fishing and stuff. I'm going to do the first season opinion and review with the Beretta A400 Xtreme Plus after my first waterfall season with it. Now, if you follow this channel, you know I used to hunt with an A300. I did a review on that gun. I hunted with that one for 5 years. I've heard a lot of guys, some guys trash talk the A300. I had really good luck with it. I liked it. But I've been eyeing this A400 for quite a while, and I just decided to make the move and upgrade. Still have the A300. I will still use that one. It's not going anywhere. It has a lot of sentimental value. Really like that gun. But I wanted to stay with Beretta. I've owned Beretta now for 5 years. I had some issues with it that were not the manufacturer's fault. They were complete accidental on my part. Beretta really took care of me. And when a company takes care of you, it's a little difficult to move away from them, especially when they make a quality product. I know I've had some comments on my A300 videos where guys have said they had a lot of trouble with Beretta trying to get customer service. I guess I can't relate to that. Any interaction I've had with Beretta has been very, very good. So that's kind of why I stuck with Beretta. Not to mention that I do like Beretta. Now the A400 obviously is over twice the price of the A300. It has some features that the A300 does not. Also the Stelium barrel. The barrel alone on the A400 is about $800. I did some research just to see if you could find a slug barrel for it. Now I was able to find some slug barrels for like the A400 Explorer. Those slug barrels were about 800 bucks. I probably would never use a slug barrel, but I just wanted to research it to see if I could find one. Now after I bought my A400, I brought it home. And I've heard some guys that say that some of these semi-autos don't like to cycle small game loads, you know, your 7.5s, your 8-shot lead. So I went out, I had a couple boxes laying around, and I ran 20, 25 rounds through it. I had no issues with cycling right out of the box. And I think it's, you know, best to run a few rounds of lead through your shotgun before you run some steel through it. I read that in an article somewhere, and that's just something that I've been doing now. All right, moving into chokes. So the A400 Xtreme Plus comes with 5 chokes right out of the box. 2 of them you can't shoot steel through, and that would be the full and the improved modified. So I used the regular chokes this year that came right with the gun, and I stuck with the modified. I was working on a patterning video, and I didn't get that one finished, but I did pattern the shotgun. Modified pattern is pretty good at 35 yards. Now just overall, in hunting with the A400, the shotgun fits me very well. I'm 6'5", so my reach is pretty long, but when I shoulder this shotgun, it feels really good. I think the length of pull with what it comes stock, I think it's 14 or 14 and a half. And you can take the shim out and you can add another shim. I think you can get it all the way up to 15 inches. But for me, when I bring the shotgun up, it's just right there. Now just talking about the sights briefly, you have your mid sight here. I was curious to see if that would last the season coming in and out of a gun case, grass, stuff like that. In a boat, stuff like that seems to get knocked off. It did not, it's still there. The end sight, which is a fiber sight, I am not a proponent of fiber sights at all. I usually like the traditional bead, but I do have to say that the fiber sight that is on this gun, I actually really, really like. For shooting ducks and geese and stuff, I really like the sight system on this. Now just moving on to the grips. It's got a little bit more friction here in the bottom for when you're gloved hands and wet, because when you're waterfall hunting, you're obviously going to have some moisture around. I do like the one up here. When you're going up to shoot, you have a pretty firm grip on this gun. But when you get to this cheek piece, there was a couple times where I took some skin off my face with this cheek piece. It is a little abrasive, so that would be one drawback, but it's not something that would steer me away from this gun, but it is one thing that I noticed that I didn't really like. Now getting into recoil, pleasantly surprised with the A400 XP. The recoil is pretty minimal. Like I said, I wasn't shooting 3.5s, but I shoot 3s, and compared to the A300, no comparison in recoil. So the A400 has this kickoff system, and I will say that it does soak up the recoil very, very well. Your follow-up shots, pretty smooth with this gun. Recoil is not a factor. And that's one thing why I like the gas a little bit better over the inertia. You have a little less felt recoil. Now the A400 is about 8 pounds, so it's not overly heavy. I really like, you know, the overall feel of the gun, shouldering, carrying. It fits me really, really well. Now, when we're talking about waterfall hunting, I typically hunt over water, and in northern Minnesota, hunt in a lot of adverse conditions, such as rain and snow. Now, I was really surprised this year. I put about 400 rounds through this shotgun, give or take, and one thing I noticed that I had no issues with cycling all season. Did not clean this shotgun at all this year. The A300, I'd have to clean about every probably 100 to 125 rounds. The A400 has what I think it's called a blink system. With the rotating bolt, it lets about 50% less gas out. I will say this gun is extremely clean for a full season of waterfalling. Now, I didn't hunt in a lot of rain or snow this year like I normally do. The weather pattern here was a lot drier. But if you look here in the chamber, when you're hunting in grass and cattails, you're going to get a lot of gunk on your bolt. But even this year, compared to years prior with the A300, it's much cleaner. You notice some stuff in here, but for a few hundred rounds, that's really, really clean. On my shotguns, I keep a very, very, very light coating of oil. I don't like to oil them up really a lot when I'm hunting. If I'm putting away for the season, I'll oil them a little bit heavier. But that's one reason why I don't like to oil them is, hunting in a lot of grass and when you're hunting in fields, you're going to get a lot more dirt and stuff if you oil your gun heavy, and you're going to have more chance for a malfunction. Now, the A400, the extended handle for the bolt, I like that. One thing that'll happen though is that if you, depends on what kind of gun case you have, if you have a hard case or whatever, not a big deal, but I have one of the banded slip cases where you kind of drop your gun in. It's a floating case, weatherproof. It will over time catch in there and sometimes make it difficult to get your gun in or out of that case, but not a huge deal. But for functionability, really like that extended handle. When you're wearing thick gloves, when it's 20 degrees, 25 degrees, and your hands are cold, you don't have to get your gloves off, or you're not going to slip off. The handle is extended. That is really nice. The button that charges the action is oversized, so with gloves and stuff like that, no problem. Really like that as well. Really, the only fallback to the extended charging button here is that if you have your action open and you're moving your gun around, more than likely you are going to hit that and charge the action. So that's something to be mindful of. The trigger guard with the safety up in the front, that took a little getting used to. Initially, didn't really like that, but now it's not an issue. When I'm sitting in my boat, I usually have my thumb and my finger on the safety so I can just cycle it back and forth. And I've actually gotten to the point now where I actually like the safety in the front of the trigger guard versus the back. Now, if it's cold and you're wearing big gloves, I will take my shooting hand glove off because I'll be wearing finger gloves underneath. Too many chances for an accidental fire with big gloves on, so I don't use them, even when I'm alone, but I definitely don't use them when I'm with somebody. So the trigger guard, it's not really overly large, but it is a little bit bigger. So you can fit a pretty big gloved hand in it, but like I said, I whip off my big gloves when birds start coming in. It's a safety issue for me. Now, if you're just getting into waterfalling, you're just getting into hunting, and you're gonna go out and buy a shotgun, would I recommend that you go out and spend $1,800 off the bat on a shotgun like this? I would strongly consider the A400 Xtreme Plus. But when you're looking at almost $2,000 for a shotgun and you're just starting into the sport, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to go with a less expensive model, like the A300, or if you're looking for a pump, you can always go with the Remington 870. That's a pretty tried and true shotgun as well. But if you're a serious waterfowler and you're looking to move up into one of the higher price shotguns, I would strongly suggest that you give Beretta a look. I know there's a lot of competition out there, a lot of guys like the Franchis and Benellis and things like that, but in my opinion, I probably will not own another brand of shotgun but Beretta. It's been really, really good for me. Do your own research. If you have a shooting range or a gun club or something that has some guns you can rent, or a firing range or whatever, go try one and see what you think of it. Go to a store and handle one a little bit. I think you'll like the way it handles, the way the weight transfer is. Really nice shouldering. Like I said, for me, you can add or take out the shims depending on your arm length or your length of pull. Very easy to take apart. I'll do a cleaning video here. I got to get this thing cleaned up. Very easy to change the plugs. If you're going waterfall hunting one day and you're going to go grouse hunting, upland hunting the next day, and you don't want to plug, it's super simple to change the plug. I did a video on that a while back. I'll link it up here. But yeah, If you're looking to move up in the shotgun world and you don't mind spending a little bit of money, yeah, the A400 Xtreme Plus, I would highly recommend. Hope that video helped you out. Hope you can get out and enjoy God's great outdoors, and we'll see you on the next one.